Ooh, Alexa, good morning. I don't usually have my phone in the bedroom, I promise. It's 5:30, and this is a little taste of my morning routine. Morning guys, so at 6 a.m. I've just completed my little morning ritual. Make the bed, glass of water, coffee, stretching, cold shower. This is all about ticking off small, easy tasks to get little wins to start the day, build a sense of momentum and achievement. Now I'll go check the surf. I'm trying to fill this 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. hour with exercise and movement so that when I sit down for work, I don't feel guilty for not moving. See if there's any waves. Such a beautiful morning. How about this light coming through? Got the beach in the background. So I just checked out the surf and she's a bit small, so I won't be surfing today, but that's all right. You can't win them all. I'm going to drop the surfboard home, get my things for the gym and go do a little weight session. Could sit here all day though. So worked up a little bit of a sweat at the gym. I've come down here for a cheeky ocean dip. It's so nice. It's like a lake at the moment. There's no waves, but the water's beautiful. The clarity's amazing. And water temp's perfect as well. So very lucky, very happy to be here. So I was with a friend the other day and we were looking through photos of us in our 20s when we were pimple-faced, wide-eyed hooligans, just pinballing our way through life. We started chatting about, imagine if we knew back then what we know about the world now. Would that change our trajectory? What mistakes would we be able to avoid? Or was stumbling through our 20s essential to shape who we've become today? It's a really interesting topic and one I'm going to explore in today's video, is what I would say to my younger self. I would say focus on getting good at just one thing. You don't have to do everything. We all have multiple interests and talents, and I've always had competing passions. I love acting, surfing, audio engineering, photography, all the things. But it's pretty widely recognized that to master one skill, you have to simply focus on that one skill. We're not computers, and we don't work optimally multitasking over different projects. There's no doubt that when I fill up my day with a bunch of different tasks, my output in all of those suffer. Now I know that I'm much better off focusing my energy on one or two things and doing them well. It's easier to say in retrospect, but I think looking back, I was guilty of spreading myself too thin over multiple projects when I could have just focused on one. My passion has always been acting, and I always saw it as my potential. But for whatever reason, when I finished school, maybe because of what my peers were doing or what my parents expected of me, I didn't go all in acting. I didn't trust myself and I didn't completely commit to it. Instead, I studied business, wanting to be a property developer. I studied audio engineering, wanting to be a record producer. I ended up working in radio for 5 years, which were amazing experiences, but it wasn't until my late 20s when I decided to fully commit and go all in acting when I started seeing results and achieving success and booking roles. So I definitely think if I went all in on acting earlier, I would have achieved success earlier. When you think about some of the best actors like Margot Robbie, there's no doubt that her sole focus has always been in film. And this applies to other professions as well. Malcolm Gladwell popularized the notion in his book Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours to master a task, to become the best of the best. There's no way around putting in those hours. So when you spread yourself thin over multiple projects, it's much more difficult to reach the 10,000 hour mark. So I would tell my younger self to try different things and work out what puts you in flow. That wonderful productive mindset where time doesn't matter and you're abundantly creative. I would suggest that's your thing. And your 20s is the best time to go all in with your thing. You don't have a mortgage, a family, and you can take on more risk. So I would say go hard. Lots of people have the talent, but determination is what will set you apart. It won't happen instantly and don't expect to be good overnight. Deep focus on getting better, trust the process, and put in the hours to master your thing. Next, I would tell my younger self if he'd listened, that self-connection and self-esteem should come first before anything. I've learned that in order to show up as best I can in the world, I first need to look inward and connect to myself. So this reminded me of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, where he talks about when he was homeless, and despite having no home or no possessions, he was so in love with himself and so deeply connected to himself that he was still happy. He was blissfully happy without any of those external things. And that was hugely liberating for him. And that's what can be achieved through meditation. It's much easier said than done and takes daily practice, but I would say to young Nick, get cracking on that meditation practice and start looking inward and connecting to yourself. Having a deep connection to yourself is knowing that whatever happens around you, if everything falls over, you'll still have that inner value and that inner abundance, and you'll be okay. And that's hugely liberating. You don't rely on a job or a partner or a Range Rover to make you happy. It takes away the risk and allows you to show up in the world without fear. The next part is noticing what raises your self-esteem. So the definition of self-esteem is the subjective evaluation of one's own worth. It's our value. For me, simple things like training, eating, meditating, reading all raise my self-esteem. So if I'm feeling shitty or lousy, I'll just return to ticking off those basics to start feeling good again. On the contrary, it's helpful to be mindful of what detracts, of what drains your self-esteem. Things like smoking, overeating, excessive alcohol. For me, these all drain my self-esteem and I feel lousy, and then I go ahead and project it to the world. I'd say to young Nick, think of self-esteem like an equation and notice what adds to it and subtracts from it. The higher your self-esteem, the better you'll be able to show up and add value to the world. You'll have more confidence communicating, you'll have better interactions at work because ultimately you understand your worth. Finally, I would say, don't worry about what people think. In the past, I've spent more time than I care to admit worrying about the opinions of people and what people think of me. And it's really held me back. If you're passionate about something and adding value to the world, you shouldn't be concerned about the opinion of the tribe. If you lose support or friends from sticking your head out and doing something you're passionate about, they're not your friends and their opinion shouldn't matter. And the cool thing is, it's so attractive when people are passionate about something they love, especially when it's unique and weird. Having that confidence and security to own something is hugely appealing. So I would say, ignore what people think, ignore what the tribe thinks, and just own it. Just go all in. And you know how sometimes a project or an idea makes you a little bit scared? Well, that's a really good sign that you're breaching your comfort zone and you're growing. And when you feel that, you need to lean in. So yeah, the biggest thing would be, don't worry about what people think and do what scares you. It's like that book, feel the fear and do it anyway. Just keep going.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
It's been fun reflecting on my 20s and trying to remember my mindset back then. I was such a baby that thought I knew so much. There is so much more I wish I could tell young Nick, but at the end of the day, our 20s are about making mistakes and learning lessons and trying in some way to fall forward. But I'm so grateful for the lessons I've learned because they've shaped me into who I am today. The biggest thing I'd change about my 20s? That haircut. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what you'd say to your younger self. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.